Hello everyone, welcome to week 3 of the weekly race guide here on Gran Turismo, of course, and in the background you can see we're at Tsukuba, and we are also in the Subaru Impreza Coupe WRX Type R 99 car. Yes, that's a lot to get out there, but let's jump to the race details then. We are racing 5 laps here at Suzuka. It's a grid start and we are on sports hard tyres. Now, brake balances are always in the description. You've got an additional setting for this one this week. You've also got torque distribution. So I'll put the settings down below and I'll talk about the torque distribution a little bit more in the race. Let's jump to that now. Here we are then at the start. Look at everyone flashing away. Everyone, or mostly everyone, picks the blue, of course. Famous blue of the Subaru Impreza, of course, we remember from the rallying days. So I did mention about torque distribution. For the start, I would recommend 50-50 if I'm honest. I also put traction control on 1 for the start because it's just beneficial to do that as we get ready for the start. You can see that down on the right side. So 50-50. Now Quinton's in this race as well. He was on 35-65, which is the default. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. There's Mr. Amphop there, just drops off there. As we head towards turn 1. Now in the lower splits, there's going to be a lot of carnage into turn 1. As always, it's Tsukuba with a grid start. Lots of cars into turn 1, never ever ever good. Now, if you look up ahead, you're going to see a German driver start lagging and going to start wiping people out very quickly. There you go. Just knocked those two out there. And then it's about to knock the Italian out as well, unfortunately. Alano will be there. So, you know, a little bit of lag causes carnage. It's such a tight circuit. It's going to happen. So, again, that's something else to think about with this week. As we're going to head down here this week. Just got me inside there, which was a nice move. I didn't expect it, actually, which is why I had to sort of back out of it a little bit, but you can see we're racing fairly clean, to be honest, you know. There's no huge incidents. We've just had a little bit of carnage with some lag from the German, who keeps going from 1 bar to 3 bar. No, he's not wrapping, he's just racing. And yeah, we're going to head towards the last corner now and see what we can do here and actually get into the race. So in terms of the torque distribution, one of the things that I discussed with Quinton afterwards was that 50-50 seems to be better when you're shifting up in the gears. Oh, we look just down the side of the Italian here. Oh, we just get it stopped, just a little bit of a tap there, nothing major, and through up into P7. So yeah, oh wow, the Frenchman just went all over the place there. Let's see what happens here, and then we'll carry on with torque distribution talk as we look. Oh my word, look behind! Ah! Ouch! Le choke, just choked it. Side by side, but does let off here and lets me back through. Right, let's talk about torque distribution then, because it's kind of critical here. So 50-50 will cause more understeer, but it appears to be quicker with the transmission. I have no idea why. It's just something I noticed, and Quinton said he was using pace to the leader, who I assume, Gianni, sometimes is in chat, so maybe can confirm, was on 50-50 as well. Quinton was on that 35-65. Now 35-65 obviously helps you get out the corners quicker. In this situation though, I prefer the 50-50 because yes, there's more understeer, but if I can get the advantage on the straight, I can overtake easier, and it's better for the start as well, in my opinion. Of course, traction control will help with that as well. Right, let's advance a bit further on then, as we went up the inside. As we go up the inside of the Frenchman there very quickly, and we just get it stopped there. That wasn't actually going to be an overtaking move, but the French driver broke a little bit early there. And you do have to be careful of that in these cars. I seem to be able to brake much later for some reason. I have no idea why, than other people. Brake balances, as I mentioned earlier, are all in the description. Always, always, always in the description. Remember, they are personal preference as well. However, we continue on with the racing against the French driver here, Fabinator 62015. No idea what that is in reference to, but we head down towards the hairpin here. And do we get the job done? No, we don't. So we're going to go for a wide line, or triangle line should we call it, and out the corner we go. Now in this situation we've got slipstream, so obviously we're going to have a look down the inside here. You can see that happening now, as these cars sound so good, by the way. But we're going to look down the inside here. It gets very tight very quickly, tries to outbrake me there, try to take the wider line. Some good little bit of side-by-side action here. Look at this, beautiful racing. And he's just got enough there, give him room to come back on, or her room to come back on, as we head into the track guide now. So the 50 metre board is your marker. You might want to brake just before this, to be honest with you, rather than at the 50 metre, but that is your marker. Aim for that. Obviously, the wider line you take, the more speed you carry through the corner. However, I actually found this car very good with the point and squirt. You know, literally, get it rotated, bang out. Now that will help with the 50-50 torque distribution. 55-65, obviously you're taking more of the corner. Heading down towards this left-hander here. Notice how that curb comes out. So you're looking for the sort of the peak of that curb, the way it's most into the road. That's when I start braking, and I want to straight line the braking all the way to the hairpin, and then try and keep it tight as possible. I didn't keep it quite as tight as I should have done there, but we're going to continue on now. Now, this right-hander, I don't have a marker I personally use. However, this is a very good marker to use here. That little bit of white and orange, you're going to turn in and brake before that. However, it's a good marker to know that if you've hit that and you've suddenly realised you've gone too late, you can start adjusting accordingly. So, you know, use that as a reference. Try and cut the grass a little bit down the inside. It'll just help you get round. Heading towards this right-hander then, you have this dark green sort of section there. And again, similar to the other corner at the hairpin, as it protrudes out there, you know, comes the most into the circuit and the track. That's what you're looking for. You just see the German there lag once again. Round we go then, the hairpin. Again, point and squirt. Try and get it out as quick as possible. Try and get it rotated. You could see the top times using handbrake towards the end of this week, I'm sure, because I think it is very useful here, but we're not using it, of course. Heading towards this right-hander, I've talked about this brake marker in the past. You've got that whole sort of dried grass, dead grass section that starts to appear here for the right-hander. As that starts, you're just going to brake, and you sort of want to trail brake in. Do not stay in 4th gear, as I do here. Drop to 3rd gear. 3rd gear seems to have a very good rotation to it. Quinton mentioned the same thing. 2nd, he understeered. 4th gear, I understeered. 3rd gear seems to be very nice, so just something to keep in mind there. But that's the end of this first race. Quite a good race, but not the greatest. There's going to be a lot of contact. Let's head to race B then, and yeah, let's see what we're getting into now. Yes, in the background you can see Group 4 cars. I mean, at Maggiore GP circuit, we're at the full circuit this time. But there is a little bit of a twist to this one, quite unusual. Let's jump to rated details then, and let's find out what it actually is. So we're racing 4 laps here at Maggiore GP. It's a rolling start, which is kind of normal. And then we get to the not normal part. Racing medium tyres. Now, I know a few people asked for this. I did put it in the chat, but I don't think the chat feedback would have got back to PD that quick, personally. So, a bit of coincidence maybe, I don't know. We have racing medium tyres. Now, Group 4 racing medium will mean the FF cars are more dominant, which is why I don't like the softer compound here in this situation. But FF cars would have been up there anyway. I would have preferred Group 3 here in this instance to really show off the racing medium tyres. I think that would have brought some new interesting racing. Let's jump to the race then though, because this race is kind of frustrating to some extent. Here we are then at the start. Hey look, what a surprise. Audi TT, Audi TT, Audi TT, Audi TT. Oh look, we've got a Viper and a Ferrari in there, and that is it. So yes, the reason why softer tyres mean the FFs become even stronger, without tyre wear that is because they now don't understeer as much and they don't wheel spin as much on the exit. So now suddenly they're even better than they were before. So that is why I don't feel this is good combo in the slightest. It's also very frustrating, and you'll see why during this race. You actually get a large portion of this race this time just because of how it works basically. So obviously everyone's in an Audi TT. We know it can brake very late as we look to head towards turn 1 here. Quinton up ahead. Quinton's always in every single race. But it's good to race with Quinton, it really is. And, you know, Quinton gets in there, does the racing, shows you the potential of coming from the back here. Whereas I've just, like, literally jumped on. I'm just like, oh, what do I do? Ah! And then we go anyway. But through the left we go here and in towards the right. So you're going to see how frustrating this race is with also Quinton as well as myself here. Oh, we've got flying cars already. We've got flying cars already. Oh, that's amazing. So the German going flying there. Anyway, heading towards this right-hander. Quinton looking down the inside. Not going to quite work there. The Belgian driver just stops his fellow countryman. And through we go then. Now, where can we go here? It's all a bit carnagey very, very quickly as we look towards this left. I wasn't sure where to place my car here, so I sort of backed out of it a little bit. And then, yeah, we can't really do much there. So round we go. Short shift to 5th there. I highly recommend doing that. Now we get on the inside of the German just here. Don't think he realised I was there, or I don't think she realised. Whoever it is didn't realise I was there. But let's look and see what we can do. Heading down towards the banking here. We need to give this corner a name, to be honest. We might do a series on that. I don't know. Heading towards here. Anyway, they brake extremely late. Now look at the awareness of Quinton. Sees it instantly. Just stops turning in instantly, realises what's going to happen here. As you see, the Vipers had a bit of a problem there and about to get mugged by a gang of Audi TTs. Look at that. Oh my word. poor Viper driver. Through we go then. And we're going to have a cracking race here with the Belgian driver over cussing us here now. So I'm going to go side by side here in towards the right-hander. And good bit of action here. I'm trying not to understeer off there. And again, look at this side-by-side action. Beautiful racing here as round we go. And actually, the Belgian driver's going to whack their hazards on there. I'm assuming appreciative of the friendly, clean driving there that was just experienced as through the left we go. So we're still in P14 here. We've not made any ground at all apart from the Viper that went off. So yeah, one position, but it's, you know, it's not actually a position to some extent. So heading towards turn 1 here. It looked, but not going to quite work here. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's say a large portion of this race is in here, and you're already starting to see the frustrations from this race. As you just see there, the Belgian driver tries to go for the wide line. So I think, okay, I'll go on the tight line here. Try and get alongside. Doesn't quite work. Now around the outside here, it doesn't normally work. And you can see why here. It's just too much of, well, the corner's too long basically to get that to work. So the Belgian driver keeps that position. So brilliant racing though, you know, shout out to Costiness_5. Some brilliant racing. This is the kind of racing I like. It's just frustrating because I want to push on and get ahead here. And you can't seem to be able to do it in this race. There's not that many overtaking spots to do it, and you've really got to go for lunges here in order to get the overtaking done. Now, in addition to that, the Audi TT hits a wall of air when it gets to a certain speed, and it really struggles to get any performance. So even, you know, cutbacks or going for the longer line round, it doesn't really work, and you end up in this just dilemma of being side by side, and that is it. As you can see here, speak of the devil, side by side here, as through we go again. Some lovely clean racing. We're going to have the opposite effect now. So last time Costiness was on the outside and I was on the inside. It's now the opposite this time here. Good side by side racing here as we continue again to the second part of this corner. I got a little bit wide there. Costiness looked, just gives me just enough room there. Well played. But through I go into P13 finally, until I outbrake myself and get it all wrong. And Costiness with a beautiful cutback there gets back through into P13. So you can see the frustration in this race. I mean, it's good racing, but this kind of frustration forces a lot of aggressive driving. As we head towards turn 1 though, the blue van, not white van man, it's blue van man this time, and it's a blue white van man. That doesn't work out. That's your brake marker for turn 1. As we look down the inside of Costiness, and look at this side-by-side racing again, beautiful racing. Heading towards this right-hander then, you use the end of the white bit there on the right side. That's why I always use a little marker there. Just gives you an idea. Sometimes I'm only using pure just my eyesight, you know, judging it accordingly. As Costiness, once again, give me some good room there. Beautiful racing as we head to this left. Now, you do want to lift a little bit here for this left. You want to sort of get it over to the left as much as possible for good line for the right-hander. And in terms of markers, use that orange barrier on the right side there. It's a really nice marker. I always point that one out. I do have a full guide, a very detailed guide on this track, by the way. Check out the description for that or the end of the video. Very detailed guide. If you want every single brake marker known to man at this circuit, that's down there. Head towards this long right-hander, and I'm going to have to just give you a sort of an estimate with braking here. So my normal markers, some tyre marks, but I can't really see them here. So you're braking after this curbing, not on it. So I've pointed it out here. You're looking for that. As that ends, that's when you start to brake. Now, a lot of people go too deep here. You really want to cut the inside of the curb. Now, Costiness had dirty tyres there, which is the reason why that driver went wide. But if you get really tight, you can have a good run up the hill. And you saw me get a couple of good runs there on the Belgian driver on previous laps. Now, the dark tyre marks there on the right side on the curb, that's what I use as a marker here. You sort of dabbing your brakes and trying to get the car turned in here and trying to avoid that understeer. Notice how I'm trying to get it really turned in. And then you can cut quite a lot of this right-hander, even more than what I did there. But be careful about cutting too much. Short shift to fifth here really helps stop any further understeer. Obviously, in hard tyres, you really have to lift. Here, not so much. It's just a slight lift potentially as we look to chase down the German driver now up ahead. So heading towards this banking then, the banking curve. He goes defensive, but on the left-hand side, you're looking for that 50-metre board or the end of the wall. You can use any of those. You can even use a flag marker we've just passed as well as a rough estimate, but that is your main marker here. Now, I'm braking early because I know the German's on the inside. I wanted to go for some form of cutback. Notice how I try and get a run off the corner. It doesn't quite work this time as we head up the hill. Now, this is all flat. Happy days. Nice and easy. Use the curb on the left. Then you can cut a little bit of this right if you can. Just as the German did there in front of me. Lovely stuff. Now, heading towards this right-hander, I normally use the tyre marks. But in this situation, I actually recommend using the 50-metre board. There's going to be that much action and side-by-side action. You're not going to be able to see this very often. So try and use that 50-metre board. Brake just before it. You can see I'm on 100% brakes before that 50-metre board. that's your reference point. So you're just braking before that. These reference points are all on it before or after it. You can see what I'm doing here. And just before the end of the curb here, again, I'm just slightly on the brakes here to try and get the car turned in. What you really want to do is hook the car on the inside of the curb. You see how everybody does that? And what that does is it rotates the car a little bit more, gets you around the corner that little bit better. Now heading towards this left-hander, this is a very difficult corner in the settings. I couldn't find a marker, so I was a bit all over the place here. The 50 meter board is best, but you're going to be braking before that. It's after the cones, but before the 50 essentially. So you want to sort of try and work out that distance to the 50. As you see, I nearly hit the German there. I might have even hit him actually. Do I get an SR down there? No, we don't. We're lucky there, because I thought we might have done. But we're going to fast forward a little bit more. You can see we're starting to build up to the grand finale here with a few cars in the mix, as we now are looking at a lot of action very quickly now. So heading towards the left here, the German's just got the overlap with the French driver there. A little bit of a tap between the two drivers. One goes deep because of dirty tyres, and there's all sorts of dirty tyres. Now, I accidentally hit the Frenchman there, but he's already going wide there, so that's not me having to give up a position. That's just unfortunate. Luckily, we didn't get a penalty there, to be honest, as we look now to this right-hander. So I'm looking to try and get a good run through this corner, which we do get this time. You can see that run we've got on the German driver. So we're looking down the inside this time, and oh, that's very, very, very tight. But as I say, this kind of setup or setting really forces aggressive driving. So, you know, the German's not dirty driving, he's just being very aggressive. Oh, Frenchman just taps me there from the rear, I forgot about that. But lets me go here, which is very kind. You know, we all make mistakes, I always say this. And actually gets a penalty on top of this. In fact, I'm going to look behind myself right now. There we go, 1 second penalty. So yes, but what I mean is with these settings, you've just got to be so careful, because you can't make that many positions. You will see where Quinton finished in a second. So you've got to be so aggressive with where you can make a position that there's going to be a lot more contact and action. Now, the lower the split, the more that's going to happen. So just be careful of that. You can see where Quinton finished there. So very frustrating race. But anyway, let's forget race B. Let's head to Spa now, because that is race C. And yes, you are not seeing things. We are in Group 1 cars. So kind of an interesting race, this one, if I'm honest with you. A little bit of variation in terms of car choice and how you handle this. But let's jump to the race details first of all, and we'll get really solidly into that. So first of all, 10 laps here at Spa in Group 1 cars. It's a rolling start. A lot of cars start on the chicane and before the chicane, so just be careful of that. Racing hard tyres, so there's no real strategy here. You are not pitting in this race, so you can ignore the fuel and tyre wear usage as well. But you might want to adjust that with the brake balance. Now, I'll say it's interesting because, as always with Group 1, the R18 2016 car, the car for qualifying. That's the one you want to set your qualifying lap in. However, in the race, you will probably want to use the Toyota. Now, you can use the Audi, and we'll get into that during the race footage. However, the Toyota is the one where you will keep the most hybrid. Let's jump to the race then. I'll talk you through some tips, tricks, a guide, and we'll see how it ends up. And I actually did this race twice, so I can tell you a lot about it. Here we are then at the start of the grid. Hey, look, Toyotas! And yes, there are some Audis. You'll also see a Peugeot of Consta there. Now, I saw a lot of people picking the Peugeot originally, so we saw it in the first race. We see 1. In the second race, it was about 5. Now, in every situation, the Peugeot is the wrong car, so don't pick it. And I'm about to explain why. So you see I put track control on 1. Remember, cold tyres. We have tyre wear, so there's temperatures involved. But Consta's about to get mugged even before the start-finish line. Look at this. Bye, Consta. Oh, dear. That's the help of the hybrid, of course, as through that first corner we go. We do quite well here. Actually helps us catch up to Quinton and Nico as well. So I'm going to head towards turn 1 then. I'm going to go straight into the lap guide here. Turn 1, 100 meter board. Now you're going to probably go, Tidge, you're braking before the 100 meter board. Yes, this is lap 1. We have temperatures. We've got fuel 100%. So I'm braking a little bit earlier. These are reference points, so you can use them accordingly. As you go through a race, they will change slightly. You notice the oversteer there on the exit. You're going to have to be careful of oversteer in these hybrid cars because they absolutely nuke their power right off the bat there with that hybrid technology. Now, you don't have to lift for Rouge and Radeon. I lift slightly here because it's my first ever lap in the race, and I was a little bit scared. You don't have to lift. You can do it flat, so just be, remember that. Now, it might be on the first lap you have to lift a tiny bit, but be careful. You don't want a penalty on this circuit. Heading towards Lacombe then. You notice the curb there. Now, I always use this curb. I'm braking fairly early here because I had slipstream as well, of course, and remember, cold tyres on lap 1. Now, you want to brake as close to that curb as possible. Stay in third gear, really, for these corners. don't go to second, it just makes the car unstable. You can do third gear, happy days, through all these corners, and it will remain very, very stable. As we head down towards the right-hander then, again, start of that curb, I'm braking just before it here, and this is where you're going to drop to second gear. This is where the car can become a bit stable again in that second gear. It's not at the cone, it is here for some reason, no idea why. As at 3 we go, you can see both Nico and Quinton trying to get past there, and up to third gear, and a quick shift to the left. Now, you can only just blimmin' see that myself. But the flag indicator there on the right hand side, that's what I use as a reference point. I'm braking before that. It's always before that. It's not on it, otherwise you won't go too deep. Through there we go. Now, I normally do that in third gear for the rest of the race. Just keep that in mind. Heading towards P1 then, I'm going to have to brake really early here with all the action going on ahead. But again, it's the flag marker indicator on the right hand side. That is what I use. I always use that here at... in GT Sport at Spa. It's the best one ever. It's easy to manage there. Fourth gear is what you want to be in here, and you can accelerate a little bit more than I do there as we continue on up ahead then. So what you're going to look for is that curbing on the left hand side. You can use the gantry as well, we've just passed, but I try and get as close to that curbing as possible. And third gear for this entire section. You do not need to drop to second at any point. It may feel like you do, but in terms of stability, especially if you're a lower DR, you'll want to stay in third and just keep it steady and stable. If you drop to second, you could drop the car and spin the car. Again, you're going to use the start that curb as a reference point. I'm braking a bit earlier here. It is better to brake earlier for this corner to get a really nice clean line through there. See us drop to second here, but the car gets very unstable quite quickly in second gear, which is why I recommend third. That hybrid will push you to that third gear optimum point very, very quickly. So don't worry about second gear too much there. Right, we're going to head towards Blanchimont now, which is flat, which is nice and easy for everybody. Or, well, in my second race, I forgot to steer and went off miles, but I didn't get a penalty. But you do get a penalty for running slightly wide there, so just be careful of that. Head towards the chicane then, 150 metre board. Nice and easy here, nice and easy. 150, you got two either side. Someone takes one out, you've got one spare. How about that, folks? But the 150 metre board there, that is what you're using as a marker here. And look at this, it's getting very juicy up ahead, isn't it? Look at this, tasty indeed. So we'll see what we can do here. And, oh, oversteer galore there. Be careful of that at the exit of the chicane. That is for sure. So heading towards turn 1 then, we've got all sorts of side-by-side action, and I brake on the 100 metre board this time. You notice how I would have stopped it, but I just slightly went a little bit too deep there. I had to sort of stop the car there, otherwise I would have hit the Swiss driver there. Fortunately, we're backed out of it, and Wallaby behind me already has a penalty, which I'm very well aware of. Was very good as well there. Managed to stop the car and actually avoid me as well at the same time. So, superb play there. There's my flat-out Rouge and Radion. I wasn't lying. We can do it. So here, I got a little bit of a bumper draft, which is very nice of the German. I did go towards the right here to get the slipstream, and then I realised, oh yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, the penalty. That's what's happened here. So now we're caught up to this big pack of cars again. Now, the critical thing with this race is if you're in a pack fighting, or if you're in a pack like this and you're at the back, you're just losing time to dirty air. Now, dirty air isn't hugely impactful, unless you're that German there and you just go straight down the inside because it was impactful. It's not hugely impactful, but it will hit your times because, you have to delay the throttle, you have to slow down a little bit more, and we advance a bit further on in the race. You'll notice they're making the same moves in the same places here. And that's because it's basically Toyota versus Toyota. Quinton and Nico are both in the Audi. Now, can you use the Audi here? Yes, you absolutely 100% can. Why am I not using the Audi? Well, first of all, I know the Toyota is better on its hybrid. It's so much so, in fact, the brake balance I'm using here is +2, I think I was using, rather than +5, which we have talked about as we go down the inside of sponsor. Ooh, look at that. What a move that was. I kind of like that one. So the Toyota will keep its hybrid better. It generates it better. It's just not as aggressive as the Audi. The Audi's hybrid is aggressive, which is why you use it in quali, as we've just caught up to the Swiss driver now. It's a very common theme, this, isn't it? We just catch them at Rouge and Radion and go for the overtake down the Kemmel straight. So they go very far to the right hand side here, which is fair enough. Goes defensive. We're going to go round the outside. Here we go then. Do we get it stopped? Look at that, beautiful. Notice that on the radar. Take my normal racing line. Didn't lose a single iota of a second there as we continue on through there. So with the Audi, in terms of managing battery life, I would argue you have to be an alien, and a very good alien at that. So I tried. I'm no good at battery management, by the way, but I know how to manage the battery if I need to. As you see, we've gone to lap 8, by the way. That's how much of a jump it was. It's a very quiet race. So you basically trail braking a lot. You're trying to brake just before you normally brake, so you just touch your brake slightly before the braking point. You're doing a lot of stuff to try and get that hybrid to full or as high as possible in that Audi, and it becomes very difficult to manage very quickly. And when you're in battles, you're going to be slowing up a bit more and then accelerating a bit more, which means you're going to use more hybrid in the end anyway. So it's a very much high skill level battery management, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's why I'm not going to show you the Audi race. It was a bit more entertaining in this one. Oh, it's a bit more entertaining in this one. I just nearly wiped out Tsukuba there. But the reason why I was aiming to the left there, I realised I'd outbrought myself a little bit. I could always fly off the track if I was about to hit Tsukuba, but I didn't. Now Cuba's just gone off onto the dirty line here and make a little bit of a mistake here. Outbrakes himself into turn 1. Unfortunately hits Cyberman there, so we gain a position there. We're actually about to gain 2 positions. How about this, folks? So side by side now. Cyberman has a very hard decision here. A car is going slightly faster than you, heading towards Rouge and Radion. Do you risk staying there and hoping that they back off, or do you back off? Now Cyberman backs off here. I would have done what Cyberman done there because the car was obviously had an advantage, and maybe he could have gained an advantage going up Rouge and Radion. He doesn't in this situation, and we're going to continue racing. We're getting back to the battery management side of it just for a second. If you feel you can manage the battery, try the Audi. I believe that the large portion of people who will watch this video would be much better racing the Toyota, and that's why I'm showing you the Toyota race. The Audi race was hilarious. There was all sorts of weird stuff. I also got punted slightly as well, but I'm not that fussed. I did that just as an experiment to test it. You can see Nico has the fastest lap. Quinton had the fastest lap for quite a while there, but Nico just pipped him to the post, and we're not getting in the 58s in this car. You can get the 59s by all means if you're not fighting. As you see, we're right in the thick of the action here with the Belgian and the Swede. However, we're not going to get in the 58s. The Audi is the quicker car, but it's all about battery management. And as I say, I don't think the large portion of you will want the hassle of trying to manage a battery when you can have just as much of a good race in this car, really. In reality, in this car. Through the left we're going to go then. Let's talk about this final lap then, and this last lap battle. Can we get any positions here then? So heading towards Pujon, let's see what happens. Now you can see on the track map, by the way, just before we carry on with this, it's a very open-end race this, you know, everyone's sort of, there's lots of gaps everywhere, so there's not a huge amount of racing at all in these races, so just, yeah. I don't find it that fun, to be honest. I don't think this week's a very good week, personally. But you can see how close we are to Black Star, so we're going to have a very interesting finale here anyway. I'm getting all excited. I'm bouncing up and down in my chair here. So Black Star is going to run a little bit wide there out that corner. Just touches the gravel, so down the inside we go here. Now the Swede up ahead, I'm not sure what was up with this Swede, because look how slow they're going. They're going really, really slowly, and you go, oh, it's hybrid. But I don't think it was a hybrid. I don't know. They just seem to be going really slowly, like through there. Look how much speed they lost there. And they're just going towards the left-hand side, and we're just going to easily take that position. Kind of interesting, you know. I mean, maybe Gamer, if you're watching, if you let us know what was the issue, it'd be awesome to hear. But even so, we go into P10. We don't gain much more there. We'll have a look where Quinton and Nico finished, just to give you an idea, with that Audi R18. And you can see there they finished 6th and 7th. So there is pace in the Audi, but you need to be an alien to use it. And that is going to be it for me this week, folks. As I say, I recommend the Toyota for this last race. Not the best of weeks this week, especially with no FIA. It's kind of a bit of a moment for PD. But even so, that is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, we are very close to 20k subscribers, so I'd really like to hit that if you can help out with that. If you did like this video, make sure you like it. There's a stream there for you to check out. I'm pretty sure it's Ollie's, because I've seen Ollie's schedule one, and the Maggiore detail track guide is there. Thank you very much, folks. I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.